Here you go, sir. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you. Here is the moussaka, madame. Enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Would you like the beef or the vegetable stew today?
The beef looks wonderful, thank you.
Would you like the paella today? It's very fresh.
Oh yes, that looks wonderful. Thank you.
A slice of the pork for you.
A slice of the pork for you?
Yes, that looks wonderful.
Could I also get some of the vegetables?
To us. Cheers, my love.
Would you like the beef bourguignon today?
Yes, that looks wonderful, thank you. Here is the moussaka, enjoy your meal.
Thank you very much. And for you, madam, the finest roast beef in the city.
It looks absolutely wonderful, thank you.
Would you like the beef bourguignon today?
Yes, that looks wonderful, thank you.
A slice of our finest lasagna for you.
Looks wonderful, thank you.
Here is your coq au vin, sir. Enjoy.
It looks wonderful, thank you. What is in the moussaka? It looks wonderful.
It's a traditional recipe with eggplant and lamb, freshly prepared.
Here you are. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you, chef. It looks amazing.
Here you go. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you very much.
I can't believe the selection here.
I know, where would we even start? The sourdough is freshly baked this morning.
Perfect. I'll take a slice.
This pasta is incredible. You have to try the schnitzel next.
Would you like to try the coq au vin today? It's excellent.
Oh, that looks wonderful, thank you.
Here is the Wiener Schnitzel for you.
Oh, wonderful, thank you so much. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you. It looks wonderful. If we rotate the model, we can see the full structure.
And the texture detail is much clearer now.
The client really wants to emphasize this feature.
I agree, the modeling looks great.
Let's run the simulation again with these parameters. This approach streamlines the user journey significantly.
Yes, and the visual hierarchy is much clearer now.
Let's run with this concept for the main presentation.
I think the blue tones really make the design pop.
If we look at the graph, the user engagement peaks right here.
Yes, that confirms the strategy.
If we adjust the kerning here, it cleans up the whole look.
I agree, and the color balance works much better now. Achieving.
If we iterate on this graph, the engagement metrics look much stronger.
I agree completely.
Here's the finalized concept art.
If we implement this feature, we could see a 20% increase in user engagement.
That aligns perfectly with the Q3.
We should prioritize these three concepts first.
I agree. The timeline depends on finalizing the wireframes by Wednesday.
So the main interaction point should be right here.
I love that. It simplifies the entire user journey.
If we implement this design change, the engagement metrics should jump significantly.
I agree. The mood board direction totally supports that. Let's move forward.
The conversion rates jumped right after we implemented this change here.
Yes, and the user feedback on the wireframe was overwhelmingly positive. And
If we move this feature here, it simplifies the user flow.
Right, and the 3D print shows the new casing works.
If we integrate this concept, we solve the user flow issue.
that makes the journey much smoother.
I'll mock this up by EOD. The user flow works perfectly now.
Yes, yes, that solves the conversion issue. Great job.
If we move this component here, the user flow improves significantly.
Yes, that simplifies the entire process.
If we implement this feature here, it streamlines the whole process.
Yes, that connects perfectly with the user flow. What if we added a subtle animation right here?
This layout feels much stronger. The orange really draws the eye.
It does. Let's run it by the team at the whiteboard.
If we reorganize the user flow here, it cleans up the entire funnel.
But structurally, that might cause issues down the line.
I think the user flow on this page needs simplification.
If we move this element here, it might help the conversion rate.
I think we should move this idea over here.
Yeah, that connects well with the marketing strategy.
Let's try prototyping it next week.
If we move this component here, the user experience improves significantly.
I agree, and the visual hierarchy will be much clearer on mobile.
I think if we move this element over here, it cleans up the whole flow.
Yeah, that makes the call to action much clearer. Let's try that. Let's try that. If we move this layer here, the contrast improves.
Yeah, that makes the call to action pop more. So if we move this here, it optimizes the flow.
Right, that makes the user journey much clearer.
So if we integrate the video content here, the engagement metrics should jump.
Agreed. The color palette works really well with this concept.
Yeah.
I can shoot this sequence by Thursday.
If we implement this design here, the user flow improves significantly.
And that ties directly into the Q3 targets we discussed.
These color palettes really capture the golden hour feel we wanted.
Agreed. And the layout for the mobile version looks solid.
Let's present this one first.
I really like where this is going if we move this component here.
Yeah, that streamlines the whole user flow. Great idea.
We need to highlight the sustainable aspect here and here.
Absolutely. That resonates perfectly with the new branding guidelines.
If we move this concept here, we solve the integration issue.
Right, that streamlines the entire process.
We need to adjust the bracing detail right here.
But that conflicts with the HVAC routing.
If we shift this column slightly, it resolves the conflict.
Yes, that works perfectly.
If we implement the new flow here, we should see better engagement.
How does that affect the timeline for the next sprint?
We are still on track for Tuesday.
If we optimize this path, we improve the user flow significantly.
I agree, and the data supports that direction for the next sprint.
The layout on the tablet is strong, but the color palette needs adjustment.
Right, let's incorporate the tones from Raj's sketch.
I'll update the mock-up now.
If we look at the engagement metrics here, the growth is steady.
Right, but Q3 projections are still lagging behind the target.
So if we optimize the user flow here, we should see conversion rates improve by 10%.
That aligns with the Q3 goals.
The Q3 projections are looking strong across the board.
How does that compare to the previous quarter?
If we adjust the parameters here, the visualization becomes much clearer.
I agree, the current iteration on the blueprint needs updating to reflect that data.
If we shift the entrance here, it changes the entire flow.
Yeah, but did you check the updated fire code regulations for that section?
I think the blue tones really capture the energy we want.
Yeah, and if we integrate this texture here, it ties the whole concept together.
What if we shifted the perspective slightly on the Z-axis right here?
Yeah.
That simplifies the entire structure. I'll implement that now.
If we move this element here, the user flow improves significantly.
I agree, that makes the navigation much clearer.
The color palette for the new campaign really pops here.
Yeah, I think the client will love this direction. I really like the direction of these wireframes, especially the dark mode.
We should A/B test the color palette before finalizing.
Absolutely, let's do that tomorrow.
So if we move this feature over here, it simplifies the user flow.
Yes, the engagement metrics support that approach entirely.
So if we implement the new design here, we should see better engagement.
Right, I'm just finalizing the color palette before we push it live.
So if we implement this design change, we could see a 20% increase in user engagement. What are your thoughts on the timeline?
The data clearly indicates a significant growth opportunity in the next quarter.
And by leveraging these metrics, we can optimize the campaign rollout starting today.
The Q3 projections show massive growth potential.
We must leverage the new market data for the rollout.
Yes, and the data suggests prioritizing the Bangalore sector first.
The Q3 projections show significant growth potential.
We could integrate the new platform here to optimize.
That aligns perfectly with the market trends we discussed.
The Q3 projections are strong, particularly in the Southeast market.
Are we factoring in the recent supply chain disruptions?
My data confirms a potential bottleneck.
If we look at this visualization, the growth is undeniable.
But what's driving the spike in this sector?
It seems to be the recent market adjustments.
Good one. If we look at the Q3 projections here, the growth potential is massive.
Absolutely, and the market response data confirms it.
This is exactly what...
This highlights the projected growth for the next quarter.
And this accounts for the new variables we discussed.
It does, which is why we anticipate a 20% increase.
If we look at the Q3 projections here, the growth potential is significant.
Wait, if we optimize the API, we could see a 20% increase.
That solves the bottleneck entirely.
If we look at the Q3 projections, the growth potential is significant.
That aligns with the market trends we've observed.
Excellent work, exactly what we needed.
Our Q3 projections show rapid market share expansion in Southeast Asia.
How are we addressing the supply chain vulnerabilities? The Q3 projections see clear expansion opportunities in Southeast Asia.
If we leverage the Jakarta office, we can increase market share by 15%.
The Q3 projections show significant growth potential right here.
What if we redirect the marketing spend to capitalize on that spike?
That aligns perfectly with the trends.
The redesign clearly improved the user flow.
That aligns perfectly with the strategic goals.
And the projected ROI from the new model looks strong.
If we pivot the marketing strategy this quarter, we could see a 20% bump.
I agree, the data supports that approach.
And the timing is perfect for the new launch.
If we look at the Q3 projections here, the growth trajectory is steeper than anticipated. That aligns well with the market trends we observed in July.
As you can see, the Q3 projections are robust.
We're looking at a 20%. The data confirms. As you can see, the Q3 projections are strong, particularly in this sector.
And if we integrate the new campaign here, we could see...
By optimizing this workflow, we increase efficiency by 20% immediately.
And the timeline for implementation looks solid.
The strategy projects a 20% gain by Q4.
But what about the recent market shifts? We need to factor that in.
Good point. Right, let's adjust the projections based on the new data.
The projected growth for Q3 is substantial.
How does that align with the current market trends?
It exceeds expectations, even with the adjustments.
If we implement this strategy, we could see a 20% increase.
That's exactly what we need for the next quarter. The data definitely supports this pivot.
As you can see from the Q3 projections, the growth potential is significant.
What about the recent market fluctuations in Asia?
We factored that into the revised forecast.
As you can see, the Q3 projections are strong.
What about the market volatility we saw in July?
Yeah, we factored that into the revised forecast here.
If we look at the analytics here, the growth trajectory is phenomenal.
That aligns perfectly with the market trends we observed in April.
The key takeaway from the Q3 data is the projected growth here.
Absolutely, and the regional breakdown supports the rollout.
Excellent work, this looks very promising.
If we look at the Q3 projections, the growth potential is significant.
I agree, but we need to consider the market fluctuations.
The data right here supports that risk assessment.
I should. If we look at the Q3 projections here, we see a significant upward trend.
Absolutely, the market response data confirms this trajectory.
This visualization clearly shows the trend we discussed.
And if we pivot the strategy based on this data point, we could see even better results.
That's a great idea.
If we implement the new interface this way, we could increase engagement significantly.
My data confirms that, but perhaps we had...
The market projections are exceeding expectations for Q3.
And the UI streamlines the entire experience.
Yeah, this launch is going to redefine the industry.
If we look at the Q3 projections here, the growth potential is significant.
Are those figures adjusted for the recent inflation rates?
Yes, they are.
The Q3 projections show exponential growth.
Absolutely. The market data confirms this trend right here.
Yeah.
So the strategy should focus entirely on this sector.
Yeah.
Based on the Q3 projections, we need to adjust our strategy.
I agree. The market response has shifted.
Exactly. If we look at this data here,
The engagement metrics are stabilizing.
by optimizing this design,
we project a 20% increase in efficiency.
But what about the material costs? The Q3 projections show significant growth potential.
Have we accounted for the volatility in the Asian markets yet?
That explains the uptick in the last graph.
This strategy will secure the expansion capital we need.
I agree. The modeling shows a clear path to profitability by Q4. We should shoot forward.
The data supports that.
As you can see from the roadmap, the Q3 projections are significantly exceeding our initial targets, primarily due to the new feature rollout.
If we look at the Q3 projections, the growth metrics are clear.
But what about the market volatility in Sector 7?
We've accounted for that.
As you can see from the Q3 projections, our growth metrics are unprecedented.
Exactly, and this data confirms we should move forward with the expansion.
The data clearly shows an opportunity if we pivot the strategy.
And integrating the outreach component makes sense.
Agreed. Let's develop this further.
If we look at this data point, the growth potential is clear.
Absolutely, and the Q3 projections support that trajectory.
Yeah.
We should pivot resources to capitalize on this immediately.
The projections are
Simply unacceptable. We need to pivot the marketing spend immediately.
But the traditional markets are still key to our base.
If we look at the Q3 projections,
The growth potential is significant.
Absolutely, and the market response data supports a more...
Agree. As you can see, the Q3 projections clearly indicate a sharp upward trajectory.
This aligns perfectly with
template.
the visualization highlights a clear upward trend, demonstrating the success of the recent campaign.
That's excellent.
If we look at the Q3 projections here, the growth potential is significant,
I agree, and that aligns perfectly with the market trends in this sector.
especially with the new campaign launch.
As you can see from the data visualization, our engagement metrics have soared.
Exactly. This proves the new strategy is working across all demographics.
If we look at the Q3 projections, the growth potential is significant.
Absolutely. The data here supports a market expansion.
But the data suggests we focus on market penetration for Q3.
I have a suggestion. What if we integrate the new platform strategy here instead?
Yes, that highlights the opportunity perfectly.
As you can see from the Q3 projections, the growth trajectory is strong.
But what about the regional data breakdown here?